Breaking Down the Law is sponsored by Battle-Born Injury Lawyers.
More fallout over COVID-related nursing home deaths in New York. Governor Andrew Cuomo is facing backlash after his top aide disclosed they'd underreported those deaths, saying he withheld the information due to an investigation by the Justice Department. Well, now lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are calling foul, some even proposing stripping him of his emergency powers. So here to discuss the legal implications, attorney Matt Hoffmann of Battle-Born Injury Lawyers. Matt, let's just go ahead and start with the background here.
So, Governor Cuomo was panned by some and celebrated by others during COVID. And one of the big things that came out was his policy that he implemented in March, where basically he forced nursing homes and rehabilitation facilities to take COVID positive patients who were stable but positive for COVID because they didn't want to overwhelm the hospital system. So what had happened initially is that the nursing homes were saying, we can't take these people. We have vulnerable people here. We don't know what to do. And the governor signed an executive order saying you have to. So they did. And they took them, and we all know the story. It spread like wildfire. And we had, it was reported, I think, 8,700 deaths in New York nursing homes from COVID. Well, now it comes out the number was more like 13,000.
Wow.
And the reason given for not reporting that number is not, oh, we forgot. It was intentionally withheld. And the reason given for that is, well, the Department of Justice was investigating us. Well, so you're admitting you obstructed justice is the way I hear that. And that's why it's one of the reasons it's such a big deal. But the other part is that the data you get as a state, and particularly a high population state like California and New York, the federal government relies on that. The CDC is relying on it. Remember, in COVID, this is a fluid situation. At the beginning, we don't know what this is. And if you're withholding the data, now the CDC, they're not able to give the guidance they otherwise need to, and the other states depend on this. So that's why this is getting a ton of attention, because not only was the information withheld from the public and from the federal government, but now the public and the federal government weren't able to react to that data, pull people out of nursing homes, or the federal government may have changed their policy. So it's a big problem.
Yeah, I appreciate the fact that you said your ears perked up basically with the admission of obstructing justice. But for those of us who aren't lawyers and don't have the legal background, we're just thinking, oh my goodness, this is such a discrepancy in numbers. And there was the ship that was brought to New York City to help out with those patients, which was never really fully staffed or filled, I should say.
Yeah, so the ship was staffed but not used, essentially. And there was a temporary hospital that was built, staffed, but not really used. So that undercuts the whole policy in the first place. Why did you have to put them in the nursing homes and the rehab facilities? You had these other federal facilities that you requested, and you didn't use any of them. So criticism all around there, and then for not, reporting the information. But, the political fallout on this and potential criminal is, number one, you have obstruction of justice, as I've already laid out, and they admit it. But number two, you have abuse of power, because the question becomes, and there's going to be an investigation in this. And unlike California, New York doesn't have any way to recall a governor. They either have to be impeached or resign.
Ah, okay.
But there's going to be an inquiry. And the question's going to be, why? Why did you withhold this data? And the reason it's going to be why is because Governor Cuomo published a book in October. And did you withhold data because you wanted to personally financially gain, and that you didn't want to be harmed financially if this data came out and showed you did actually a terrible job with leadership? Did you do it for political purposes? Remember, he was being considered for U.S. Attorney General if the Democrats won. They were talking about him for a 2024 presidential bid. Is that why you withheld the data? And, and then he's up for re-election in 2022.
Right.
It'd be his fourth term. I don't know how this impacts that, but it cannot be good. And as you mentioned in the opening, this is bipartisan. Democrats and Republicans are furious in New York, and they should be.
So the inquiry is going to be where the news takes us next. But Matt, as always, we appreciate the legal insight, the background here, and kind of the perspective as we move forward, especially that we're looking at New York and California governors both in the hot seat. So as always, Matt, we appreciate you and we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. Take care.
Have a good day.